Well, hello and welcome to the No Filter Needed podcast, where we cut the fluff, expel those myths, and kick unobtainable standards to the curb. I am your host, Camilla Collins, self-image consultant, author, and founder of multiple beauty and creative entertainment agencies. I am super passionate about empowering people to change their self-perception and reimagine not just the beauty, but the huge amount of power within themselves. And this podcast is in support of my mission to do just that. Well, hello and welcome back to the show. And I am joined by the lovely Amy today from Dreams and Dumbells. Now, Amy is a qualified personal trainer. She's a sportswoman. She's definitely a fitness enthusiast. And she's played competitive sport for many years before finally picking up some weights, I think back in 2014, 2015, and then fell in love with being strong. Now, she's a girl after my own heart. She likes a challenge, and she's completed a number of them, such as triathlons and marathons and a bikini competition, which is how she fell onto my radar. And she's looking to compete in CrossFit as well as a bike ride from London to Paris next year. Looking forward to hearing more about that. But what I really, really love is that Amy's aim in life is to show the world that fitness doesn't have a body type and that anyone can do anything if they are willing to go for it. So Amy, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, so and we were just chatting before. So everybody listening or watching, Amy fell onto my radar when I was prepping for, what was it? No, if it was in June, I was probably prepping for a show, the Miami Pro Show or the Pure Elite Show, and you were training for your first ever bikini competition, which was the PCA. And I think it was a transformation photo that I saw, and you literally
that one did quite well.
Yeah, so I think that must have been on the Explorer page, and I was like, wow. And I started following you, and I think it was quite good.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Oh, you're frozen.
Am I back?
You're back.
Let me quit out. There you go, that might be better.
You're right. My internet's really dodgy. So.
Yeah, it's mine as well. But I've just closed Teams down, which always does a lot for my internet because it's so bad.
Technology issues. We've had loads of them, right? The last 2 years.
Yeah, working from home troubles. I know everyone feels the same.
Yeah. So that's obviously how you kind of came about. And I was just following your story, particularly all the behind the scenes on show day, because that's all fun and the run up with prep. So let's, can I just get you to kind of tell us a bit about your background, your story? Because this is the first time that you and I are really having kind of a conversation.
Yeah, of course. So I've always played sport. Even when I was younger, I loved being active, and I wanted to, I will do anything for a medal or a team outfit. I literally will. Even as a kid, I was the same. I wanted to be in everything, doing everything, trying everything. And that's kind of how I fell into netball, really, predominantly. I decided to go for that. And I did. I played netball for, close to 18 years. I started quite young, and I got quite high and competitive at a national level with it. And I think that was the first time I really, as a young girl, I didn't look like the rest of them. I worked really, really hard to be the best I could, because I wasn't tall and slim. I was a lot stockier than most of the other girls. So I really didn't feel in place, and I spent a lot of time doing a lot of cardio and stuff to try and get as thin as possible. So I thought that's what I needed to do in order to fit in that sport.
Amy, I just lost you there. Sorry. Repeat that.
Sorry.
You were just saying about I heard something about cardio, but I think you were saying you didn't look like
I didn't look. I was a lot stockier, a lot I gained a lot of muscle quite quickly, and it was a real. So I didn't lift any weights through training. Obviously it was part of training plans, and I used to just skip it because I didn't want to be bulky. I wanted to be tall and thin and lovely, like all the netballers I saw. So I just avoided it for years and years and fell into that same trap that I think a lot of women do, that you don't want to be bulky, you don't want to be this, you don't want to be that, you want to stick on cardio machines, and that's where you feel safe and you think you have to be really thin. And then, yeah, in 2000, and so fast forward, I went to uni on a scholarship for netball. And again, I used to, like, as part of my scholarship, I was meant to go to strength and conditioning sessions. And I used to always have an excuse as to why I couldn't go. And like, I wouldn't miss a match and I'd be there for all the fitness training and everything. But I was like, I don't want to lift barbells. I don't want to look like that. And it was just that trap of everything you see in the media and everything like that. I thought I would get that from running, basically. So that's all I did. And then because of that and the way that my body is and everything, and obviously with uni, I just got into really bad cycles of losing a lot of weight through basically not eating, and then I would binge, and then I would do and then I would just run for hours until I was sick. Like, it was a horrible cycle I got myself into. But in front of the scenes, like, I was playing at a really high level of netball, like I was a thriving athlete, let's say, but behind the scenes, like, I didn't feel comfortable in my skin. I didn't feel like I really deserved any of what I worked for. So when I got a grad scheme and I moved up to London, I joined a gym. I properly joined a gym and was like, okay, let's get someone to help me. So I found my first ever personal trainer, and the first thing she did was put a kettlebell in my hand, and I was like, what is this? What do you do with it? And she was like, trust me, fully trust me, this is gonna like change how you look at yourself. And it did. Like, I realized how strong I was, and how the more I trained, I didn't get bulky like I thought I would. I got stronger, and every time I lifted a heavier weight, I felt more empowered and like better in myself. I started moving better. My sport was a lot better. I was faster. I just felt a lot better. I think at that time as well, though, the only thing was that I was going for aesthetics at that point. So in terms of nutrition, that still wasn't on point. Like, I was still very, very scared of carbs, especially, but like overeating. So I did lose quite a bit of weight with her. And like, as ever, and I think you'll find this when you do prep, everyone is constantly telling you how amazing you look. Like, and so that I thrived off that, and I thrived off getting strong, and I did train a lot. I probably massively overtrained. But that was the first time I forayed into weights, and I loved it. I actually loved it, and I thought, I'll probably never ever put a barbell down again. But I never really progressed above certain like plateaus, and that's because I just never rested. I never stopped. Like, some weeks I'd go 3 sessions a day, like before, during, and after work.
Oh my goodness. That's
me
on peak week right now.
Yeah, well, are you on peak week now?
Yeah, Sunday I'm competing. So
oh my god.
Having said that, it's actually, we're just kind of cruising, and I'm just very much, because I've done it before, there's not like so much anxiety around it either. And I'm doing it for me, as opposed to, like, go hard and like have to have the suffering and the craziness. So we've kind of kept it together, and it'll be what it'll be. But
I suppose as well, peak weeks are, it's almost done. You can start to get a little bit excited. Yeah.
Because what it is, right? It's by this point, it's like, and particularly a couple of days out from show, and on show day itself, it's just, well, nothing can happen now, so I might as well enjoy it. There's no point.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. And you're closer to it than you are from where you started, like right now. So like, why stop? I always that's what I thought that week. Yeah. So, and she also convinced me then and said, I think you'd be a really good PT. So I decided to train on the side of working, mainly to educate myself a lot more in more movements that I was doing. I don't know if I didn't really start out to go to have this account really, or to really teach people. I wanted to learn and educate myself a bit more, especially on the nutrition front, because I knew, that I struggled with that. And it was great.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say your blog, because I remember when I read the bio, because I think, or the start of it, you were actually you weren't a qualified personal trainer, were you, when you started it? So...
No, I started it as I was starting to qualify. Yeah, so as I was learning, I thought I'd document it a bit. Social media wasn't really around, like literally it only just kicked off. I was in the publishing sector, so writing was just something that I did anyway. So I was like, oh, I'll just document what I'm doing a little bit. Maybe someone would be interested. And I actually back then, like, yeah, I got to work with a few nice, good brands. Like I did some bits for Spartan and stuff like that because everything was just kicking off. So that was quite fun. But yeah, so then what happened was, as like I literally relied on structure so much, and I still do. Like it's still one of the things that is a blessing and an absolute curse at the same time.
Totally,
yeah. So when my work life kind of got shaken upside down, and I ended up working from home 4 days a week, and I wasn't that close to a gym.
Is this during the pandemic? Or
no, this was way before. Yeah, this is like 2016. I actually started working from home. Yeah, 4 days a week because my business relocated, and they also cut our team. We went from a team of, in marketing, a team of like 10 to a team of 2 with the same amount of brands. It was very, very stressful. And I just stopped doing anything. I stopped moving. I wasn't enjoying netball anymore. I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't doing anything. Like, and I was so stressed to the point, like, my hair was like falling out. It was bad, like really bad. And also because I'd never really got a grip on nutrition as well. I just spiraled like completely. And so then I made the decision to put my mental health first, and I quit my job and moved to Australia for 2 years and went and did a bit of traveling. And obviously traveling's hard, you don't have much structure. When I got to Australia, like I just started rugby actually before I moved away, which I really enjoyed. I gave netball up. I thought that's very stressful now. I lose my weekends to it. It wasn't making me happy anymore. So I took a little foray into rugby for about 6 months before I moved to Australia, which I really, really loved. And it got me moving again. And then when I got to Australia, I just started training again. And I found my love of indoor cycling as well there. And that was the first time I thought to myself, oh, at some point I might do a bikini comp at some point. But in the meantime, I was doing triathlons and marathons. Yeah.
What put that in your head? Because like the bikini competition, because it's pretty far out. Is it? I don't know. I had it written down on a book, like a bucket list thing that I found probably a year later after I wrote it. But was there something specific that did it?
In all honesty, yeah. So back then, I was definitely aesthetics. I was like, would I? And even now, like when I did it, and I have done it, and I honestly thought I would never ever be able to get my body to do it. Like I'd fully convinced myself that I would, and this isn't like a sympathy thing, but that I would always be the bigger girl. I would always be the chunkier girl, and I would never be able to be lean enough to step on stage. And so it was on a bucket list. It was something that I really, really wanted to do. But part of me was like, would you ever, like, don't let go of it, but would you ever really be able to do it? So I kind of put it out my mind in terms of like, it's actually funny looking back, because in Australia, there was a bikini girl training when I was in a gym. And I asked her, if I could ask some questions about it, because potentially would love to do it, blah, blah, blah. And I remember her saying to me, oh, I will, but I'm like a week from peak week and this, and she's like, I'll come back to you. And she never did. And I thought to myself, how rude, like, and now I've done it. Oh my God, like,
get it.
Literally get it so much. Like, she probably thought, oh, will you just leave me alone? Just trying to survive right now. And it's funny because I obviously knew nothing about it. really the process at all back then. But yeah, that always makes me laugh because I think, oh, my heart goes out to that girl, because yeah, it would have been really annoying. God, this is such a long story. Where was I? Yeah, so started to move again and kind of move for more for performance, because I needed to find happy again. I would say, like, aside from the way I looked, I needed to find happy in moving, and feeling good inside, as opposed to what I looked like, basically.
So you knew the key was like in like movement for you then?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Even coming out the other side as well, that's been what I've had to chase again, is to find moving and performance as a key driver, as opposed to what I look like, which is really tough. This time around has been a lot tougher. And then, yeah, when I moved home, we came home straight basically into the pandemic. We were home for like 3-4 months, and then we started going to lockdown. And yeah, I was like everyone else, probably. Like, that first couple of weeks, I just ate and drank, like. And then one day I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, this is either going to go two ways for you. You're either going to spiral out and be in the worst shape you've ever been in your life, or you start moving and you start showing up for yourself every day. So that's what it started with. And I just moved. I just did something, went for a walk, did some I hate HIIT workouts, and I did them, like, in the garden. We did sessions on Zoom. And then from there, I also just started to educate myself on food. Like, I stopped restricting myself. Like, I just ate very consciously, like a good 90-10 rule. And
did you find that it was easier to tune in without all the noise and the busyness while we were in lockdown, actually tune into what you need and what your body?
Yeah, it was good for me. Yeah, it really was. As well, there was no pressure from. I've always been someone who really overanalyzes everything. You know, they always talk about, like, when you go out and you wake up and you're hungover and you get that fear. So I have that fear. Yeah, so I have that fear all the time. Like, I have been so worried about what other people think. Have I upset people? Like, I will literally create scenarios in my head. Like, I'm terrible for it. And I know it's irrational, but I can't help it. So when we couldn't see people, their choices weren't there. Like, it was really easy to focus on me and doing things, because I couldn't let people down, because I couldn't go anywhere. Like, I just put a big structure in place that I knew wouldn't hurt anyone else and actually benefited me a lot. And I thrived in that. And that sounds so weird, because it was the worst time. Like, I had, I didn't see my family for like close to a year. Like, I lost my granddad and couldn't go to his funeral. So it was the worst time. But on a personal level, it was also the best. Like, it was the best thing that happened to me. And I thrived, and I put such a structure back into my life that I'd been missing and really needed. So it's actually like the weirdest time. It's like I would say it's the best worst year.
Yeah.
And then it was a massive shock. He wasn't sick, he wasn't ill. It just came out of nowhere. But that's life. And I think that's the other thing as well. Like, we just never know what's going to happen. And that's why I always as well, that I've always gone for things. I've always felt uncomfortable doing things, but it's never stopped me, because I never ever want to regret that I didn't go for something. And that's why I always say to people, like, everyone says, oh, I can't do this. And I'm like, yes, you can. You might not be the best at it. And I have to remind myself of that day in and day out. Like, CrossFit and Olympic lifting, I've never ever done it in my life. And like, even last Thursday, I sat and I cried in my car because I couldn't do the movements. And I was so frustrated. But it didn't mean I wasn't going to turn up tomorrow and go again. Like, we all have to start somewhere. Don't let fear stop you from going for things. And that's like my biggest advice to anyone, like, going for anything. The job, moving, traveling, working out. Don't let fear, like, you're going to be in no worse situation than you are right now. So go for it. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and we've all got to start somewhere, and it can be difficult, especially if it's something kind of like a similar arena. So something, I guess, sport connected. If you do quite well in something, you expect to get off on the right foot on whatever else you try to do, and it can be incredibly frustrating because you're like, why can't I do this? But it's that perseverance, isn't it? And trying to remember actually when you started out with other things that it took time. You just got to keep showing up and being consistent with it. And eventually it becomes easier.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you find coming out of lockdown then? If you found all that kind of structure, did you find it difficult to navigate?
Yeah, I did. I was not nervous of being out or anything like that, but nervous of losing control. I think I'm a massive control freak, and that comes from that structure as well. Most of the things that I'm super scared of, like flying, for example, is stuff where I'm not in control. So like at the moment, I'm trying to learn to do handstands and I feel so out of control. I just can't do them. I have the strength there. I can do a wall walk. I know I can
do that on Instagram stories today. I was like, that's cool. I can do that again.
I know I can do that. I know I can be upside down, but ask me to throw myself forward and hope that my arms take my weight. Like, no, like this doesn't happen. So I was worried that there would be like less control as we opened up more, and especially because I was on prep when we opened up as well, which was another level of anxiety because people don't understand why you can't just eat something or why you have to go to the gym over like going to the pub or going to see them, or you have to get a session in, or you have to get your recovery in. If they're not doing it and it's not natural to them, for them it's a moment in time, like, oh, but it's just this once. You'll know that if you stood on stage, or it sounds stupid, but your next check-in you weren't where you needed to be, all I would think about would be, is that one thing I didn't do. I didn't tick that box that day, so maybe that's the reason. And even at the end, like, it's those 1%, it's that you just need to tick off. Even just 1% might make the difference, and unless you do it, or you're in that, people don't understand. I think that was a little bit of a worry for me, that they wouldn't understand that I couldn't go and do bottomless brunches or stuff like that until it was done. And for me as well, by the time I hit prep, I'd already been dieting. So I started prep in the November because we were meant to compete in the March.
Okay, I thought you started in January. So you're prepping through Christmas as well.
Yeah, we prepped through Christmas. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Christmas and New Year. But by November, I'd already been in a calorie deficit on a diet since the December before. No longer than that.
For a whole year?
I've been dieting since the first lockdown. Yeah, so longer than that. I didn't have 2 birthdays, basically. I didn't have birthday cake for 2 years.
Oh my goodness. I hope you have cake now.
Oh my God, I've eaten more than enough cake. Yeah, all the cake. Yeah, so I'd already been, by the time I started prep, I'd already lost 25 kilograms. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And then what did you, so then you started prep in the November and the show was in June.
So it was meant to be in the March. So it was meant to be a 20-week prep. And then it got cancelled to June. So it turned into a 34-week prep.
And what happened? Did you ease off a little bit then in terms of dieting and then kind of come back, or was that a bit too?
I wish. I didn't. For me, I didn't really. We managed to get a day off at Christmas and a day off on New Year's. That was the 2 breaks we had.
I'd just sooner not have a day off. I'd like that. What's one? It's a bit like 1 glass of wine or 1 bit of chocolate. Either one bottle or forget it.
Yeah. So we had that, which was nice. Especially as obviously no one could see their family. So like it ended up just being me and my friend who was prepping with me, and then our partners. So it was actually probably nice because we literally couldn't eat that much, so it was like actually pointless. But so that was my 2 days off, and then she got some calories increased. I didn't lose anything, but I didn't gain anything either. I just kind of rolled over.
And how many calories? So what were you kind of eating in what sort of thing? Did it change, or did it pretty much
change? Mine changed a lot, yeah. So one of the biggest things it did teach me is by the time I hit prep, my coach was like, we have to up your calories now. We have to give you 4 weeks and reverse you backwards, because if I start you where you are right now, by the time we hit prep, yeah, like you're gonna be eating an apple. Like it's like towards the end. So we reversed for 4 weeks about that before we cut. Yeah, so real clean. Like I've never shared like what I eat on my channel, to be honest, like mainly because people are obsessed with it, but I really want people to know that like what works for me and what works for someone for you is very, very different. So me and Victoria did the prep exactly the same time, and we ate completely different things and got to the same goal. Like, but yeah, you know what it is, like chicken, rice, eggs, bit of pasta. I got pasta to start with, which was nice, and wraps to start with, and bagels to start with, which all very quickly disappeared. Bacon to start with, that was nice. Granola and yogurt. Fruit.
Nice, granola in there.
I did, yeah. It didn't last long. That was as I was like building my calories back up. Then as we came out, yeah, I started to lose those quick sugars basically. And then I got a bit of green veg put back in. And then like my meats changed a bit. So what started off at like sirloin steak turned to rump steaks, so slightly higher in like fats and stuff. And then my like pre and post, we were having like oat-based shakes pre and post, and then that turned into I had tuna and rice, like, and our rice forms changed as well from like plain to jasmine, just to play with that type of stuff. And then yeah, each week I would just dread if I would get less food. Yeah. It just
you make it sound so awful. Like, oh no.
You know what? I was, yeah. To be honest,
like rations, they're gonna take it away.
I know, it was literally like that. When I lost my bagels, like I went from full bagels to thin bagels for a little bit.
They're the worst. Thin and nothing like full bagels though.
They are not, but when that's all you get, like I literally lived for rest days because I got 2 thin bagels on a rest day. And when I lost them, I cried in the kitchen. Like I read the WhatsApp out and I was like, it's happened. I've lost them.
They've gone.
Yeah, they've gone. But to be honest, it became a bit of a job. I think I mean, you know what it's like. Oh, it's 11 o'clock, I need to eat my oats. Like it just ticks over. And to be honest, it wasn't until probably I would say 6 to 8 weeks out that I really started to feel the hunger. Like I would wake up hungry. In the night, I think. But it was always really hard because I tried not to moan too much because I'd chosen to do it, and obviously I didn't want to, I don't know, like I'd done it to myself and in a way, and I wanted to push through it. But it also helped my friend because she had a lot more food than me. So she, even though she was hungry, she like she said it helped me so much, like knowing that I was actually on less. Like she had like nothing to moan about. Sometimes when we used to cook our portion size next to each other, like, oh my God, it was so painful. But on the flip side of that, training wise, like I pulled her through training sessions. Like she fell into some training holes, and
really,
yeah, and training was just one thing I knew I was good at. So we supported each other a lot. I was very lucky to have her. She kept me going when I was hungry, and I kept her going when she was tired. So
great tag team.
Yeah, our coach did say to us, like, I've never met anyone turn a solo sport into a team. Because we were literally like, we trained together, ate together, we did everything together.
Did you not have a row? Like, because come on, you must have both been a bit tetchy and hangry, and
so I lived with her as well.
Oh God.
I know, we lived together. So we literally, and when I'm saying we literally did everything, we got up, we did our walk in the morning, we trained together, we did our cardio together, we ate together every meal, like we worked from home together, like, and it was so amazing. I moved out 4 weeks before comp, and I think that was the best thing we ever did, because that's when you're really on edge. And we text every day, but we needed to find our own training schedules, especially as food changed and things like that, and obviously things opened up. So actually, it was basically the perfect prep partner. We stayed together to the point where we both were like, okay, we need 4 weeks by ourselves now. But we spoke every day, and were there together every day. Especially because my cardio went up to an hour, whereas hers didn't. And I had to train because of my food. I trained in the middle of the day because I just couldn't make it to the evenings, whereas she trained in the evenings because she didn't have cardio to do. So it just made sense as our plans changed a little bit to just do our own thing for the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, so was that when? So were you together for lockdown then?
Yeah, all through lockdown. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it gets stressful. When people have got, when there's demands being made on your time, like elsewhere, and trying to then do the group thing together. But when I guess you're in lockdown and you're just literally, you can just have the same routine. As you said, cardio is a bit different.
Yeah, and we were lucky because my husband and I bought a barbell at the end of the first lockdown with like 150 kilogram of weight. So we also, a lot of people who were prepping had to stop training because gyms closed, whereas we didn't. We stayed. Obviously, we didn't have machines, but we kept training through the whole thing, and I think that really kept us going too. Because I think, like, another girl I know really well was doing the same comp with us. She was doing HIIT home workouts, and she just wasn't doing them because she just said, I can't, like, it's just, and I get it. Yeah, I definitely get it. So I think she ate rest day food for like 2 months.
Did she end up competing in the end?
Yeah, she did it. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she looked great. Yeah.
It's hard. I think if you knew you're going to be in that situation to start with, then you're kind of prepared. But to have the carpet like pull from beneath your feet, so to speak, then it can just send you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Completely off.
Yeah, that was the best thing I ever did, was to buy that barbell. I don't even care how much you pay for it. Yeah.
Do you use it now at home?
Huh?
Do you use it now?
Yeah. So I do. So when I came out of, so obviously I went into prep. Great. Did the competition. I didn't place, which I was a little bit disappointed about. But in hindsight, it's probably good that I didn't, because I had my wedding to go to. I had lots of stuff on this side, and if I'd been prepping, I think British finals were last weekend.
Yeah.
So, PCA. So it would have been all over like 3 weddings, my own wedding, my own honeymoon. Like, it would have just been a lot. So yeah, it was a weird feeling because I wasn't disappointed in myself, in that I was so proud of myself and I loved every minute of being on there. And but at the same time, I am like, I like to think that I'm an athlete and I have an athlete's mentality, and nothing will ever be good enough.
Yeah. Well, it's going back to what you said about getting upset when you couldn't do the thing. This is technically your first go at it, and then you feel that way. And it's hard, particularly when you've worked that hard for it, that long, and it's not just a training thing where you can do what you want at home and continue. Like, it completely consumes you, doesn't it? Like, your whole mindset
of your day is focused on that.
How did your husband cope?
He told me I'd never ever be allowed to do one again. That's how he coped. He has the patience of a saint. I am so very lucky. He also, I'm also very lucky in that he has always been a big fan of bodybuilding and strong men and stuff like that. So he reads a lot of articles, like spends a lot of time on like T Nation and stuff. And we've watched all the Generation Irons, everything. Like, he has an invested interest in it. He'd never do it because he loves food far too much, but he trains a lot himself anyway, so he kind of understood the process. So he kind of knew when to leave me alone and when to feed me, basically. But he supported me through everything. I'm so very lucky to have him. Even through the training, like, he'd be there, like, come on, pick the barbell up, keep going, you know, you've got this. So, and every morning he'd have a nice black coffee waiting for me when I got back from my fasted cardio. So yeah, he took care of me. But yeah, I don't think he was best pleased when I was a bit snappy. And he did say it afterwards, once I'd had a donut, that there was a few times he wished he had punched me in the face, I'm sure. Oh, bitch, yeah. But he just had to leave the room and be like, she's hangry, leave her alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was amazing to do it. And, you know, in hindsight now, would I ever do it again? Maybe.
My next question.
I think so. I think I would at some point. But the biggest thing for me now is to get my head right, because I think coming out of it the other side, it's been really tough for me to come. It was like so much had to happen so quickly afterwards, in terms of like my wedding and stuff like that, hen dos, and it was literally like life exploded in my face, basically. And someone opened the door to like all the food. And I mean, I'm not a big drinker, so that wasn't a factor, but I just couldn't stop. Like, and it was like a deep fear that someone would take something away from me. It was very strange. Like, I couldn't just have like one chocolate. I'd have to have them all in case like they were gone, like in case someone would come and take them, because now I could have it.
That kind of anxiety around food,
yeah,
subconscious fear.
But at the same, and also as well, like towards the end, you know what it's like. So it became a tick box in exercise, especially because I was so tired. So when I trained, it was just get through the next reps. I just had to work set to set, like rep to rep, and just kind of get through it. So training became not chore, because I still enjoyed that part, but just getting through it to the end. And like I was still pushing the weight, like the weights I was lifting. I just didn't want to train. I was like scared to go into my gym, because I don't know, there was just a real anxiety there about training.
After the show or just before?
After the show, yeah, after the show. I just couldn't go into the gym. I tried.
You started looking different, and then you didn't want people seeing you from
yeah, and I didn't really like, especially on Instagram, I didn't want to post. I gained a lot of water weight really, really quickly, because obviously I wasn't doing my food right. I wasn't reversing myself properly. I just lost control a little bit, and that for me was scary. And obviously I had to fit into a wedding dress, so I got in this weird cycle again of like trying to control myself, being too controlling. So then I would binge, but then I didn't want to train, but I was still training for a marathon. So then I'd go out running again. Like I got into that same thing, and I knew it was happening, but I knew I had to train for the marathon. So at one point I just said, like, this has to stop. And I just stopped running. I stopped doing anything. I just let myself be, like, just chill out for a moment. No one's going to steal the food from you. It's always going to be there. You can have whatever you want for the rest of your life. Chill out with that. Don't worry about the running. I didn't think I was going to do the marathon, because I was going so crazy over it. Like I started to get runner's knee. So it was painful to run anyway. And then I was trying to force myself to lift weights, but I felt so much anxiety around lifting again. I just didn't want to do it. So then it was like half-assing it, and it was just all became so much in my head and quite a lot of stress. So I just stopped for a couple of weeks and just let myself chill. But I did feel like people were going to look at me and think, and I do, it's so weird. I do look in the mirror and I think, oh, I'm so fat again. And it's a horrible I'm not. I'm very strong. I'm very powerful. I'm athletically built. I'm never ever. It was never sustainable for me to be that weight. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you know as well. Like, but this is a big thing. Like, I've only just got my menstrual cycle back. I lost it 4 months before I stepped on stage through sheer depletion in what I was putting in versus what I was putting out, and I've only just got it back. And I came off stage in June. Like, it's a big toll on your body.
Yeah, I haven't had. Yeah, I haven't had mine since July, since the show. And I think it came back for like a day, and then it went off again because I started prep again. But you know, even when I was younger, like I've had my experience with eating disorders and things like that, just not really eating or being sick and all of that. So I didn't have a period for about 1.5 years or so. For a while, and then it came back. But yeah, no, it is a worry. It's really not good. I mean, that's your body saying we're shutting down now because you're not healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I have to remind myself of that a lot, in that I had to remind myself of what I preach, and it is that just being a weight, and just because everyone says you look amazing doesn't mean that you're more worthy or valid than you are slightly bigger. And, you know, like, that's when I decided that I needed to pick something up like CrossFit, where it wasn't about what I looked like anymore. It was about performance. Like, what can you lift? Like, where's your strength going? Like, and also got me out the house, because I realized I was like hiding. I was hiding in a real safe space for me, where I didn't have to, you know, really see anyone or do anything. So I was like, well, get me out, hold me accountable again, because that's what I needed. Like, my coach held me accountable in order to get me on stage. So what can I do now that's going to hold me accountable again? So that's when I started. Now, obviously, I couldn't go consistently to start with because I had a wedding to attend of my own. So, and obviously,
I love how you say I had to go to my wedding. Like, it's not like I got married. It's like I had to attend my own wedding. I had to go to
my wedding, so I couldn't be consistent there for a little bit. And then obviously we went on a mini moon. So, and it was on that I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to go for the marathon. I'm going to do it.
Crazy. Oh my God.
I was like, I haven't run in 3 weeks, but I'm going to do it, because I always say you can do these things. If you really want to do it, you will. So I did. Yeah. So I did it.
You did a good time, if I remember right.
I did 4:26. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I saw footage of you literally just like taking the piss, like dancing.
I worked with Shop Absorber, so they gave me a bra to wear. So I gave a little flash on the Instagram. I was like,
I missed that. I just meant the
no, it was I
just sweat.
Yeah, I was just head down, like, just find a place and go. And I did, yeah. And then over the last kind of couple of weeks, I've started to just, you've got to eat for performance, like, so started to get a nice bit of structure back and everything. And some days are really hard, and I do think, oh God, am I back to where I was? Like, you know, I don't care. So I stepped on stage at like 60, just under 68 kilograms, and I'm now 80, like, but it doesn't make a difference because I'm now pulling 110 deadlift again. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't doing that. You know, and I'm doing Olympic lifting now, so I can't be running on nothing. I need to be fueling myself in order to do these things. So I think it's a learning curve. And to be honest, I spoke to a lot of other girls who've been through the same thing on their first time as well. And I think it is something you have to learn yourself. Like, I kind of read around it and kind of knew it could happen, but you're never really prepared until you've done it.
It's just a shock to the system. I found it easy this time, but I did a show back in 2017, I think, or 2018, which was like a really, like, it was just for 7 weeks. And it was quite, I guess, severe, like old school bodybuilding stuff. There was like no bagels. It was very clean. And that was a real, like, that was my entire life. Like, I do like a drink. And food as well, and going out to eat, socializing. So, I mean, that was just flipping my lifestyle completely on its head. So if you do that for 7 weeks, it's like a pendulum. You know, when it swings one way, it's going to swing back the other when you come out. But I think the more you do stuff, the easier it kind of gets. And although this has been different this time around for the July show, and again, you just get a bit more relaxed with it because you know where you're at and you know what to expect. But I don't know about you. I felt really, I guess you had your wedding to attend, and the marathon afterwards to keep you focused. But because I was prepping for a show in lockdown too that didn't go ahead, so I did a photo shoot with Matt Marsh instead. But I felt so lost after that. I think things opened up as well, and you know, it was a weird time. But I was just like, now what? Like, I felt really kind of a bit anxious, empty, lost, and I was like, well, I can't just keep prepping for photo shoots the rest of my life. Like, what? Yeah. And you start putting on weight, and then you feel uncomfortable, and you feel like you're losing control again. So it's I totally resonate with what you're saying on that.
I definitely have had and still some days do have that lost feeling. Like, I totally get it. And I read a lot around Olympic athletes get it a lot, and stuff with like quite high depression. Yeah, because they spend years and years, up to like 4 years each cycle, to try and get to this place. And when they win and they get the goal that they've been working their entire life sometimes to get, it's like, what do you do now? Like, well, that was your work. That's what you spoke about. And I think as well, like, especially on Instagram, the further I dropped into prep, like, the more people engaged with my stuff, like, the more messages I got, questions I got. And then I came out the other side, and I am so lucky because I have such a core, like, community there that still, like, message and I talk to them. But everything dropped off. A lot of people dropped off. They weren't interested anymore. And I was like, oh, like, there's that, you lose, like, it's not validation, but you're like, oh, why was I so interesting back then and now I'm not, because I'm not doing that. So it's like this weird kind of, you don't know what to do with yourself really, or what you should be doing, and you've worked so hard. And when it consumes because sport in general, and I think this, like, a marathon only affects you when you got to go out and do your runs. But at the end of the day, if you have some extra carbs, or if you switch your training days around, or you take a taper week, or you go out and you run a little bit slower the next day, in the grand scheme of things, you're not going to be an elite marathon runner. So you can kind of flex it a little bit, flex your training. There's lots of different plans. You can just build it around your life. Whereas with bodybuilding, it is every single bit of your life that's affected. Your food, your schedule, your training,
your relationships.
Yeah, like, at the end of the day, if I don't go for a run, like, it's not going to affect Ben. Like, but my mood is based on how, when you're bodybuilding, whatever, like, your mood is then your relationship and how that works, and also fitting in, seeing people and stuff like that. It's just real different. And I think when something is all consuming like that, it's so easy at the end to feel lost. And I totally get that. And then you start to try and fill it with something. And for me, I just fill it with more events. But there isn't a feeling like it. And I think I would say that is why I've done quite a few events and, like, challenges. But when I saw my stage photos and I stepped out onto that stage and, like, saw, like, Ben in the crowd and knew that my mum and that were watching at home, like, I would say that is probably the one and only time I have fully allowed myself to be proud of myself, because it did take everything. It took every last bit of me to get there. And even like Victoria was just getting ready to go on stage. I was just after her, and I literally looked at her and I said, I can't do this. Like, I'm not doing it. And she was like, yes, you are. You've dragged me through this. Like, she was like, I'll come off stage and I'll push you on if I have to. Like, and even at that point, I was like, I still don't know if I can do this. But as soon as I strapped up my heels and I stepped in that line, you look around you, and I think that's the other thing as well. You know what everyone else has been through. There's no bitchiness, there's nothing. Every single person there knows what the other person's been through to step and be at this point. And everyone is so nice about it and so supportive. And it was just like, it was amazing. It was one of the best feelings I've ever had being there. I get it. Huh?
I know, I love that. Just listening to that, and I had goosebumps when he said about, you know, allowing yourself to feel proud, and I totally get about you. I think one would assume on the outside that actually it would be quite bitchy, and it's the complete opposite. And someone actually said, someone else had said to her that backstage is literally like, you know, like a night, like in the club toilets on a night out, like everyone kind of helping each other
out. Area, yeah, sharing everything. And everyone would be like, oh, I've got, like, if you want, like, everyone's got Haribo or whatever, last bit of sugar, like, yeah, everyone's fixing each other. Like, there was a girl whose bikini kind of wasn't on right, like the class was broken, so we were just helping her fix that up, because yeah, like, you appreciate that everyone's been through, like, you all go through different journeys, but everyone's done the graft to get there and look like that. And you know, hats off to everyone that steps on it. I'm like in awe, for sure.
I agree.
And even now, some of the girls I met who've gone to what they've pushed through to go on to finals and stuff, like, yeah, good on them.
Yeah, it takes a lot to then keep on going. It's a bit like, yay, I've won, you know, to be invited for finals. It's like a great feeling.
Yeah.
You're like, oh God, I've got to carry on with this. And there's even more pressure, you know, to perform, because you've got to be better and you can't.
Yeah, and you know, I love the aspect of it. Like, don't get me wrong, like, you are crafting a body, like, and the biggest thing that someone said to me was that even the person that wins in bodybuilding will not be satisfied, because they want to build a better body, and that's the whole point of it. It's about crafting. But also, I think the biggest thing I did learn from it, from my coaches and stuff, is that they taught me that actually you can do anything with your body, like anyone. Like, anyone can prep, anyone can go and do it. Like, the body isn't just broken, and like, everyone has certain genetics and whatever, but there is always a method for everyone in order to do it. And I think, and also the like, it's okay to gain weight and get stronger to build. You have to do that to build a better body. And like, speaking to him now, he was like, you're going to gain, even doing, if you ever want to do it again, through your CrossFit, through lifting, through getting stronger again, you're going to build more muscle.
It'll be so much easier for you.
If you strip that back again, like, you're going to look even better. Like, and it's kind of accepting that, you know, it's that whole thing of like, mass moves mass, doesn't it? So you want to get big, you want to get stronger, you've got to feel yourself to do it. And I'm getting there, like, with that. But like you said, gaining weight is hard, like, mentally, because we don't talk about it, and it's not normalized as a good thing.
Yeah, and actually, I keep meaning to bring this up. Well, you know, you keep bringing it up, and I keep meaning to go back to the point.
I'm sorry, I'm like chatting away.
No, it's my fault. But that was the reason why I pinged you a message and I invited you on. Unless I'm making this up, because I went to find it earlier and I couldn't. But didn't someone say to you, I'm sure you put this on a post on Instagram, that that when you had started putting on weight, they were like, oh, you look much better before.
Yeah.
I was starting to get comments like that, because I had Katie on the other week, who actually was at the British finals, PCA. She didn't do your show. I think she did another show afterwards.
Yeah.
And she kind of had, the opposite, saying she looked horrid, because she had to get, obviously she was losing more weight and continuing in prep for the finals. And someone turned around to her and said that, you know, she looked horrid, or, you know, why are you doing this? And she kind of explained, and it was just, it's both ends and both hurt. And it's, you know, like, you wouldn't say to someone, oh, you know, it's just body shaming in general for fat or for thin. It's just why do people feel that it's acceptable to even comment on the way someone looks and the amount of weight they're carrying or not carrying?
I mean, I think it's just this, like, not defending people, is this normalization of perfect, unfortunately. But I worked in magazines, and I can tell you, none of those girls were perfect on any of those covers, because, you know, in some people's contracts, it would say you had to airbrush them to a certain level, like, in order to do shoots. Like, no one is perfect. And I know that. I worked in the industry, and it still managed to get me. So I
And it's
think
subjective anyway. I mean, what perfection doesn't exist, and if what is perfect to one person wouldn't probably be perfect to another.
Exactly. And you know, I do look back on some of the photos I posted on prep, and I would say, like, I look knackered, like. And you know, if someone looks at that and thinks that I'm better than I am now, that's on them and that's their problem. And you know, I'm lucky. I do have quite a thick skin. I've built a thick skin even through, like, when I used to play netball. The first time I ran a marathon, I was a lot bigger, and people were like shocked, and you see it on their face, like, "What? You've done a marathon?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, why is that such a shocking thing? Because I don't look like a runner.
Do you ever say that? Have you ever said?
Yeah.
I can imagine it as well.
And then
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh no, it's not what I meant." But unfortunately, we're conditioned. It's kind of like a conditioning of, this is what an athlete looks like. This is what fitness looks like, and it's not, because you know it's all about the discipline you're in. Like, obviously, you will get, you know, marathon runners and sprinters are very different, but because that's the discipline they run in. But one isn't more of an athlete than the other. And that's the same in general life as well. Just because I look different to you doesn't mean that we are both not athletes, or both very good at doing the same thing. So yeah, I think it's more that you can educate people, and the more people that have the confidence to go out and do these things will show more people that they can do it, and people have less judgment. But unfortunately, I think you're always going to get people who judge you on what you look like, and
Or just don't think before they speak, I think, is the other.
And I think I've always been called the fat girl, whatever. Like, if that's the best you can get me at, or like, do worse. Like, you can count my medals. Like, do you know what I mean? Count them. You know what? You know, if that's what you're going to go after, fine. At least I'm a nice person, in, like, that's what counts for me, not what I look like.
Absolutely, it's what counts. Well, it's what counts for me, but for everybody. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you know, you're right. And I mean, it's your mission anyway, in terms of, it doesn't, you know, matter on your body type, but it's very much everything starts here. Like, everything starts here. And even, okay, fine, sure. If you're running a marathon, it's probably easier to be running less weight. You might move a little bit faster. But fitness-wise, you know, it's all there, and it's all within the mind. And I don't think there's really any bounds there. And if you're working on that, then the rest follows. You know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and this is the thing, is like, everyone puts a lot of, I'm one of the worst. Like, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to, if I'm going to go lift a weight, then I need to look like, to quote my mum, I literally have been training my mum for about a year and a half. She's done amazing. The first thing I said to her when I was like, here's some 2 kilogram weights, right? Start working with these. Oh, well, I don't want to look like Arnold.
Oh dear.
And I was like, I wish it was that easy. I wish I could pick up 2 kilogram weights, Mum.
Yeah.
Believe me. Like, but it's just that perception of, this is what someone who does this movement looks like, or this is someone who runs should look like this. And I think yes, at a very elite level, you're going to look a certain way, because that it literally is your life, day in, day out. In order to be the optimal and perform at the top of something, you're going to have to be like a certain way. And when I ran a marathon at 16 stone, I did it in 5 hours 30. When I've run it like almost 6, well, oh God, how much have I lost? About 4. I'm about 4 and a bit stone lighter. I've run it in an hour and a bit quicker. Yeah, because it is a lot easier to run with less weight, but it doesn't mean I couldn't do it. And we have to take the expectation off. Would I expect myself to run at 16 stone a 3-hour marathon? No, but I can sure as hell complete it and give it everything I've got. And I think that's what you've got to teach people, is be where you are now and take the chances now and do the best you can now. And that's enough. If you want to carry on and you love it and you want to get to the top, then you'll put the additional training in to get there. But don't ever say you can't do anything. It might take you longer. It might, you know, you might not be the best at it, but you can do it. and just getting started is like the biggest thing. Once you start moving, like this comes next, and then you'll feel amazing. And then the way that you can then start looking at the way you look, or if you want to gain weight or lose weight, that's fine. But when you start looking at performance as the first thing, I think it gives you a good relationship with exercise in particular, but also yourself, and believing in yourself. And that's what I want people to do, is really believe in themselves.
Love that. Self-belief. Because if you haven't got it, then, well, if you don't believe in you, then no one else, it doesn't matter who else does. Because
exactly. Like, I'm the worst for it. You know, sometimes I think, a lot of the stuff I do, I just want to make other people proud. But where do I come in? And I think this is the first time I've ever taken myself out, and bodybuilding taught me this as well, that it's okay to want to do something for you, like, and be a bit selfish. I've always been in team sports. I've always, everything I do, every training session I turn up to, is for the team. And I really, really enjoyed working on me and being there for myself. And that's okay too, to show up for yourself every day and not have to worry about anyone else. And that's why I think CrossFit's quite good for me, because it's a real good hybrid of, if I show up every day and I train for me, but I'm in a community where if I need a little push to hit a lift, there's people to cheer you on. But you can, if someone else chooses to not do an RX weight, like, that's on them to do the best that they can, and I can do what I can. So it's good to flip it back to performance, but I'll never say never for anything. I will definitely probably end up doing a comp again. I might go well
next year. Amy will be.
I don't know if I'd do PCA again. I think wellness might be more my thing.
Different federation. Yeah.
I'm
entering wellness on the weekend. I'm still not entirely sure what wellness is. You just don't, and every federation is different anyway, but I'm more bottom heavy, and I think quite a lot of females are, not all, but a few, childbearing hips and all of that, and we tend to carry weight.
For me, I think when I do look back at the photos, I do think, because I've got quite a large back, like, and a large bottom, like, I'm quite an hourglass, whereas a lot of bikini girls are quite petite on the top.
Yeah.
But I wasn't anywhere lean or muscly enough to go up to athletic. So I think I'd have to work really hard to really get some dense muscle on me, especially in my lower body, and try and come in a lot tighter there and go up, or move to a more wellness based, I think.
But that's playing to your strengths, isn't it, as well? And there are some people that build muscle easily, like you said at the beginning of the interview, that or this chat, that sounded very formal. That you can, you're strong, and you're a big build, and you can build muscle easily, and that's what I found. And I spent so much of my youth starving myself, trying to be like everybody else, and in far more ways than just that, just trying to kind of fit in. But actually, you have a much easier time playing to your strengths and the way your body's wired, and the way your mind's wired as well.
I've always gained muscle and fat quite quickly. Like, I'm just a proper endomorph. Like, but I'm also built for lifting heavy stuff. Like, my levers are it's just, they're perfect length for like that type of lifting. And I really do wish that it'd been around for girls a lot earlier and been okay, because I do think, imagine how much I would have been benching or deadlifting by now if I felt comfortable to do it. I always encourage everyone to do it, because there is no feeling like pulling a deadlift or pulling over your body weight off the floor. Like, that is a powerful feeling. You can take on the world after that.
Absolutely. Hitting personal bests.
Yeah.
So those are the takeaways, isn't it, from the conversation? Carbs are not the enemy.
No. Eat the bagel.
And weightlifting is the key.
Yeah.
Really.
And if literally look at bikini girls, they all weightlift. Like, so they're like, those bodies, they're carved out of weightlifting. So,
pick up the weights.
Yeah,
pick up the weights.
Oh my god, I do enjoy the odd cardio though. But yeah,
it's a good little endorphin. It's good for the heart, cardiovascular. Well, it's cardiovascular, isn't it? It's good for the lungs and everything. But yeah, incessant, constantly doing cardio is just, it burns you out and it and makes you hungry more than anything else.
Yeah, it makes you very hungry. But no, I don't mind. I do the odds. Well, I teach indoor cycling, so that's my cardio for the week.
Love it. Love a good spin class.
Yes.
Oh, it's been so amazing to have you on. Thank you so much
for
sharing your story and just saying all about your experiences. And so we don't know what's next for you, do we, yet? But CrossFit.
Well, yeah, I've signed up to, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I qualify in June in CrossFit to go to the Arnold Fitness Games. So,
amazing.
So if I do, then next October I'll be at the Arnold's, not for bodybuilding, but for CrossFit, hopefully. And then, I am doing the London to Paris bike ride in July. So
lovely. That'll be nice, I think.
Yeah, a bit different. Never done a full cycle kind of base challenge. Done it in triathlons, but it's 4 days of cycling. So I'm going to get myself some good padded shorts.
There's wine and cheese at the end. So you're not so much of a fan of the wine, but
I'm going to eat as many croissants as I can on the way.
Croissants. Oh, well, the best of luck with all that training. I will keep up to date on Instagram. So, and people want to find you and come follow your journey. And I advise that you do, because Amy's absolutely awesome. And I love, you're like, hey team, yo team. Like,
everyone's my
stuff. So yeah, go and follow. What's the handle?
At Dreams and Dumbells. Sorry, my little sister's calling me. She's trying to get in the house. So yeah, at Dreams _Dumbells on Instagram.
So at Dreams at Dreams _and Dumbells.
Yeah, perfect.
Amazing. And anywhere else that people can find you, or is Instagram the best place?
Just there. I'm on TikTok at Being Amy Kate as well. That's my personal one. I tend to do stupid stuff on there, so if you like that type of thing, but mainly Instagram's where I'm normally dwelling.
Love it. Amazing. I might check you out on TikTok. I like stupid stuff, fun stuff.
Yeah, love to talk to you. Thank you so much for having me on. It means the world.
Thank you for coming on. It's been absolutely brilliant. And enjoy the rest of your day, and I will speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you got some good takeaways from today. And if so, then please do leave a review. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and you can find further insights and tools over at camillacollins.com.